Hey there, so today we have another review. This is Even More Irish Jesus. So I actually picked this up around, I picked this up around St. Patty's time. And unfortunately, I thought it was Even More Jesus, which has like a little darker label, which is actually literally one of my favorite beers of all time, one of my favorite imperial stouts of all time. But I just saw the Even More and just like went with it. And then it's Even More Irish Jesus, which is actually a vastly different beer. This beer is a 4.7% Irish dry stout. So it's like, so crazily enough, like Irish dry stout is actually one of my least favorite styles ever. Not a Guinness guy. I just don't. Yeah, that weird like metallic acidity thing is just not a big thing for me. But and then like that beer, that style is really defined by one beer. It's like, well, how do you? It's like a what's a good analogy? It's like actually the Guinness is the beer, right? It's like it's hard to even think about, like there's so few other examples. So it's like if I don't really care for that much that beer that much, like not much to say about the style in general. Not to say that I haven't had decent beers that are Irish stouts. So anyway, thinking this beer is non-nitro, obviously. 4.7% is a little bit bigger, which is Guinness is 4.2, clearly much darker of a beer. Guinness is actually a solid like a dark brown color with like solid amounts of like ruby on the edges, sort of a definitive character about that beer. Here it is very dark. It's very, very dark for a beer that's under 5%. Honestly, full appearance, I would have guessed this was like an American, like almost like an imperial stout. It just looks like it. It's just so dark. So that's interesting. Nice kind of like wafer cocoa, chocolatey character. It tastes and honestly smells a little bit like a watered down imperial stout. Big roast character, but it has this kind of nuttiness, a little bit of cocoa. But yeah, definitely way more robust than your familiar general Irish stout. Honestly, I'm very curious if this was a Portugal brew. Portugal, by the way, is a traditional English thing you can do and homebrew thing you can do, where you sort of make a beer, make a bigger beer generally, and then you have all this grain left. Generally, you just throw that out, but you can do a second runnings beer and sort of throw water on top of that and squeeze out as much of the sugars out of that wash as you can, and then sort of make a small beer out of that. And that's a traditional thing that British brewers would do a lot for efficiency. You know, use of the grains, and it sort of makes sense. Like, what's a good analogy? Oh yeah, something stupid I do. So I have a little thingy in the fridge where it sort of like sits coffee, and you can make cold brew. Like it's like a filter within a vessel. And yeah, how do you just grab it? Anyway, no, this is probably a better analogy. So imagine this was perforated, and it just put coffee in there out of a big vessel, and obviously you just throw coffee in there, and you can just soak the coffee in a pitcher basically, and make cold brew. Well, if you're lazy, not wanting to clean it every single time, you can actually just, well, it makes cold brew strong enough that you can just like drink the cold brew. But I just throw water in there again, and then instead of piping the water down, now I just have straight cold brew. Right? It doesn't taste great, but sort of does the job. So, if that makes sense. So this tastes like it might be. It has such a dark character to it. Seems like they probably brewed imperial stout and then partagaled it into this beer. I'm not quite sure. Anyway, what you sort of get a really watery imperial stout. Big robust characteristics. A little bit of that dark chocolate comes in. A little bit of like cocoa wafer, a little bit of nuttiness, a little bit of toasted hazelnut, a little bit of toasted walnut coming in here. Lingering kind of milk chocolate flavor. Honestly, I think the style is sort of weird without the nitrogenation, like sort of that's what you're familiar with. But you know what? It honestly tastes a little bit like a milk stout too. So it's honestly pretty good. Again, this is where beer just crushes. Like this beer is 4.7. It's less ABV than like a Budweiser, and it has so much character. Definitely way more robust than a Schwarzbier, so it's like really confusing what it really should be. I would have a hard time guessing exactly what this was. It almost tastes like a really watery oatmeal and milk stout. It doesn't quite taste like an Irish stout because again, Irish stouts are so defined by like a paler character than the amount of chocolate and roasted character in here. It's also nitrogenated generally, so whatever. The beer's fine. Honestly, sort of like it. Sort of like if you're looking to look for lower ABV, lower calories, and not get crushed by a big imperial stout that's like 8.5, 10%. This really does a lot of flavor and impact for a beer that's like for a roasted beer under 5%. I think you're gonna have a hard time beating this. So it's fun. Not exactly something I'm looking for because if you're gonna go this way, you might as well hit me over the head with like even like a Founder's Porter at 6.5 or I think it's 6.5. Way more rich character. So you're cheating about 2% ABV. Like I don't think you're winning there. Like I think the vast flavor improvement for a dark beer at 6 to 10% is way better. Under 5%, sure. If that's what you want, that's what you get. If that's what you want, this is definitely an 8 beer. For me, Nigel, shut up. Let's go with an 86 on this one. It's not a bad beer at all. It's fine. It's just like not exactly. Actually, this is good utility. Let's give it some more points for that. Really good utility. Let's go with an 80 on this one. This is even more Irish Jesus. Until next time, cheers. Let me think later.